agenda once again, and we'll hop back into that. We have a lot of greens of a favorite color. I was trying to keep a poll in my head, but I couldn't keep count. The second business for today is the land declaration. So on behalf of the Rideau River Residence Association, I would like to acknowledge the Algonquin nations whose traditional unceded territory we are gathered upon today. Carleton University also acknowledges the location of its campus on the traditional and unceded territories of the Algonquin Nation and the Anishinaabe people. In doing so, Carleton acknowledges it has the responsibility to the Algonquin people and the responsibility to adhere to Algonquin cultural protocols. Okay, motion 4.0 is the approval of the agenda. So by all voting members, please approve the agenda. Please vote now. Okay, this motion passes. Thank you. Motion 5.0 is the motion to appoint a building representatives. So as previously discussed and voted upon last week, we will now be using building representatives instead of saying floor representatives. And we're going to start off. Sorry, just give me one sec. Okay, so the motion presentation states, whereas the Rideau River Residence Association Council meets to discuss news and issues that occur in residence, and whereas some floors currently do not have a floor representatives and some students have shown interest in filling these positions, whereas it is essential for the council to function properly with a full representative body of all students living on Carleton residence. The information transfer says, be it resolved that RRRA Council votes the person in. So we're gonna let Jaden just speak to this for a quick sec. And we have one representative, one student who is interested in joining in RRRA Council. And with your approval, we'll be voting him in. The way this will be functioning, we're gonna have the nominee join the Zoom call, and I'm gonna spotlight his or her video. They're gonna give you guys a 1-minute presentation of what they can bring into RRRA Council and why they'll be beneficial. After that, they'll leave for a quick sec and we'll once again vote upon it. I'll also give an opportunity for any students who know this person to give any questions, comments, or concerns or in support of this person. Once we have that done, we'll vote on the person. We'll invite them back to the call. Jaden, would you like to address anything I missed?
No, you just explained it perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let him in. His name is Ewan Wilton, and he's just gonna give a brief little speech as to why he wants to be a counselor this year. And then afterwards, we'll let him vote, and then everyone will vote. Hey, Ewan, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Ewan Wilton. I'm a first-year political science student here at Carleton. I'm in Prescott House, and I'm running to be a building representative. I want to be in this position because I was raised on the idea that we need to give back to our community somehow. And this is my way of doing that by giving back to my fellow students here at Carleton, by making residence more enjoyable for that. A little bit more about me. I've served on student council in high school and in middle school. I've served on my member of parliament's youth council, and I think the skills I've learned from these experiences could be useful here. I'd like to think. I'd like to make residence, a fun but safe environment, with the whole pandemic going on right now. And I just want to make it easier for everyone as building representative. And that's just all I have to say. Thank you for your time, and I hope you come to a good decision.
Awesome, thank you so much, Ewan. I'm just gonna put you back into the waiting room. We're gonna vote, and then I will reach out to you.
Okay, so we're gonna open up the floor to anyone who'd like to speak to the presentation or like to discuss anything right now or raise any concerns or in supports. You can speak right now. If not, if no one has anything to say, then we'll just move on straight to the voting. Okay, I'll take that silence as no one has anything to speak or say. Okay, just give me one sec, sorry guys. Okay, with that being said, and after hearing the presentation, the information transfer states that be it resolved that RRRA Council votes in Ewan as a building representative for, I didn't get which building he was part of.
Prescott.
Prescott.
Prescott, thank you guys. So be resolved that RRRA Council votes in Ewan as a building representative for Prescott to join RRRA Council and to perform the duties of a RRRA councillor effectively. All voting members may vote now with the reaction emoji. I'm just gonna let all the votes come in. Okay, be resolved that this motion vote passes. Thank you. So Jaden, you can now let him in to our meeting. And then we'll give him a little round of applause to make the little things a little fun.
Hey, Ewan, are you here?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, hey, so congratulations. You are officially a building rep. Everyone voted you in, so welcome.
Round of applause.
Thank you.
Also, love the poster in the background. We love AOC.
Thank you. Thank you. I had a special ordered off of Redbubble.
Okay, so we're just going to move on with the rest of the agenda for today. The next point of business is motion 6.0, which is the executive's report. We'll start off with President Jaden Slaughter, 6.1. So you now have the floor.
So for my report, I'm going to start off with the release of the raw report. So our team worked really hard to get this out to students and ensure that there was more transparency to what the executives have been working on behind closed doors. If you have not given the executive report a read, you can find it on the documents section on the RRRA website, and our next report is scheduled to come out in November. I have also been working hard with our operations manager to finalize numbers for the association's operational budget, which I will be presenting this meeting. I had the opportunity to present it to our financial review committee this past Friday, who has given me great feedback that I have put to use. So I'm looking forward to sharing the budget later on. All of our committees have been formed and have met aside from our Constitution and Policy Review Committee, which is scheduled to meet this upcoming week. I am so happy to see the engagement in committees this year and that a lot of you counselors are speaking up and using your voice. One highlight from one of my committees is our COVID-19 committee, who is looking into launching a COVID-19 campaign this upcoming November. This campaign would be a way for students to communicate to the rest of the residents community why it is so important to follow the COVID regulations. I'm going to let our committee chair, Morgan, speak to this during committee reports later on. This year with committees, we also launched kind of a new mentee program. So whereas in the Constitution and Policy Review Committee and the Financial Review Committee, the president and the VPA are the chairs, but we have allowed students to step forward and become an under chair and assist in meetings and take more of a leadership role within the committee. Residence is now offering flu vaccinations. We're very happy that this is still something we're able to do this year, especially with current circumstances, but there was a demand from students and we knew this was a resource that was very necessary. After approval, Health and Counseling Services has received a limited supply of flu vaccinations and opened the flu vaccination clinic this past Friday. Due to COVID-19, all flu vaccinations will be administered in the Health and Counseling Services clinic by appointment only. This past week, our executive also attended a town hall discussing Carleton's Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Action Plan to gather feedback from the Carleton community on recommendations that will inform the development of the institutional ADI action plan. We participated in small group breakout rooms in Zoom and gave suggestions on the plan. Some point of discussions were more diversity and engagement in the running of student politics on campus, as well as Carleton staff overall. You can review the draft plan on the Carleton website and give your feedback to ensure there's inclusion at our university, not just for one, but for all. And then lastly, council photo shoot. So unfortunately, we had to cancel the council photo shoot due to COVID-19 regulations, the new ones that were just put in place, modified phase 2. We weren't approved to do it by housing, but we have shifted into having each of you send in your photos, and we're going to kind of put them together in a collage and upload them to the website. So I have a few photos so far, but I haven't received everyone's yet. So if you haven't sent them to me, if you could please do so. You can send them to my email or message me on Slack. And remember, you have to wear red for your photo. Awesome, that's everything.
Okay, thank you, Jaden. Now I'm just going to raise the floor to any questions, comments, or concerns by any of the voting council members. If you have any, you can raise your hand. We can address those.
I have a question about the pictures.
Yeah.
How do I send it to you? Like, what's your email address?
It's president@raw.ca.
Sorry?
President@raw.ca, but I can also, I sent it in the Slack group, but I can message you privately if you need.
You know what? I'll just take it down. What was it? President at RCA?
I'll send it in the group.
Yeah.
Does anyone else? Any else? Sorry, the words just aren't coming out of me today. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, or concerns, or even insults for Jaden? With that being said, I'll just move on. Motion 6.2 is Vice President Administration's report. So I'll hand on the floor.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. So since our last council meeting, the executive team and myself have been working hard to reach the next set of goals. Starting with our store Abstentions, I've spent a lot of time with the Abstention staff to reorganize our back room and to help streamline our supply. This year, as we know, Residences filled to only about 50% of its regular capacity. And this reduced amount of students on campus has lowered the store's revenue. This is something that we had anticipated from the start, and it came as no surprise. It did, however, come with a new set of challenges for us, mainly regarding stock issues. This year, we are being very diligent on what we can order and how often. We have been closely monitoring what students find most important in the store and making sure to stock that as much as possible while having to forego lesser used items. We want to work closely with our Residence Issues Committee this year to make sure we continue to supply students with the things that they want to see the most. And regarding our website, we sat down with our web development company and negotiated a new plan and a new website infrastructure that we're really excited about. Our current website has been experiencing a variety of issues due to the outdated backend software that we hope to alleviate all these issues with our new build. We want to ensure that we can build a website that can host future online elections and events and create a cohesive online platform that has the ability to be scaled up by future executives. The executive team and I attended, as Jay mentioned, we also attended the university's EDI Action Plan Town Hall meeting this past week. This is a really productive event where we got to sit down and discuss with other student associations and university administrators on how to create a more equitable, diverse, and inclusive environment for the future. And with regards to our policy points, one of the main things that we wanted to do this year was to create more awareness for mental health, consent, and safe sex. Now more than ever, the world is facing a mental health crisis, and students on residence are sometimes hit the hardest by these issues. We have partnered with the Mental Wellness Center and the Let's Talk initiative to create an awareness campaign that we hope to introduce students closer to exam time and again in next semester after the holidays. We want to highlight the many resources that students have available to them on campus and show that students aren't alone in a lot of the issues that they may be facing. And as we approach the halfway point of the semester, this is a great time for the team and I to reflect back on what we've done so far. It's been quite the learning curve, and I'm sure we still have much more to learn. But all in all, we're very proud of the work we've done so far, and I'm excited for the next step. And thank you to all the counselors and council attendees for being here this evening. If you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to me at my email, vp@rod.ca. Thank you.
Thank you, Sash. Again, just open up the floor to anyone who has any questions, comments, or concerns. May I address them now?
So Sash, I just had a question about, so with the stock issues and the floor, I was just wondering, so with the milk, I know I brought this up with you before. So what happened with the old milk? Because I know we have a newer, more expensive brand.
Yeah, so I think that was a supply issue because the way there's like certain points that you have to order, a certain amount of time that you have to order before they can get the shipment to the store. And just the way the logistics work in the back end, they could only supply that for this week. But I haven't heard it be a concern yet, but if you feel that it is a concern and you are on the Residence Issues Committee, so if we want to talk about this, we can actually look into getting a different kind, and I'm very open to doing that. So thanks for bringing that up. Thank you.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
So about the milk, I talked to Murad, who's the manager for Abstentions. And as you said, we have what's called a supply issue. A lot of the stuff we usually bring in doesn't come in now, including Ben & Jerry's ice cream. So the old supplier can't give us any more milk. And as you said, you have to order a certain amount. And with the current, what is it called? With the current sales, we can't call in big orders, and the supplier would only give us big orders. So that's
Yeah, we have to be very resourceful this year, but I mean, there are still a lot of things we can do. So definitely bring it up in our residence issues committee, and I'm definitely open to looking into other avenues.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, thank you guys for raising those questions.
I think you're on mute, Hugh.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Moving on, we're going to move on to motion 6.3, which is the Vice President Programming's report. So handing over the floor right now.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. I hope everyone is doing well. So jumping right into my report, I started off October planning events I want to have throughout the year and for the month of October. This month, as restrictions for COVID-19 got more strict, we really wanted to focus on ensuring that we had a lot of events planned for this semester to really build community within residents and to help students feel a little less lonely during like this difficult time. As far as what we have planned for this month, we do have a Halloween Netflix party and a costume contest. Our Halloween costume contest is taking place from the 25th of October to the 1st of November. Resident students can post their costumes on Instagram or on Facebook and tag us or send it to us directly through email. All costumes will be posted on our website along with a link for students to vote on the winner. The first place winner will receive a $50 Uber Eats gift card. The second place will receive a $25 gift card, and the third will receive a $15 gift card. So more details about also the Halloween Netflix party will be posted to Ra's Instagram this upcoming week. For the future, we are planning to host more speed mingling events, meet the grads night, a housing fair, just more movie nights, potential gaming events, and much more. We really just want to fill this year with events so that, you know, I feel like just a lot of people have been feeling a lot like isolated and lonely. So we really want people to feel like they have a community around them. So as for meetings, I took part of this month. The first one I attended was the CUX meeting, where stakeholders talk about possible future collaborations for events and how to improve the events that we already had. So for example, we did the speed mingling event. So obviously that was our first time doing that. So just basically expanding on like what we can do for the future to just make it more successful. I also hosted the first special events and community outreach committee where we elected our first community chair, who I will let discuss the meeting in more depth. So my team and I also did an Instagram live in collaboration with the CUSA Wellness Center. We discussed how to facilitate social wellness in residents, and that is posted on the Wellness Center Instagram if you guys want to check it out. So as for the future, we plan on collaborating with other organizations to bring students together and host just really fun events. So yeah, that's really it for me.
Okay, thank you, Jenna. Once again, opening the floor to any questions, comments, or concerns of any counselors.
Jenna, just one question. And you said about sport events?
Sorry, no, not sport event. Well, I mean, there's always room for ideas, but I mentioned that we would have maybe a gaming event. That was one of the things that we actually talked about in my committee. Yeah, so, but if you have any ideas for maybe a sport event that we could do online, then you can definitely send that to my email.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you. With that being said, is there any other questions, comments, or concerns? Megan, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it has been brought up already, but for events-wise, I know for my floor specifically, I was hoping to, since Halloween's coming up, do a door decorating competition, because then everyone can stay in their rooms. They can all like put whatever they want up, and then either the floor rep or like whoever could go around to vote on it, or we could take pictures of them and post them so that people can vote on it for each of their floors. But I think that'd be a really fun non-contact thing for people to do.
Yeah, honestly, that sounds like a really good idea. I can definitely maybe think of doing that for like all floors. But yeah, if you want to just host that for your floor, definitely do that. That sounds like a really fun idea. Maybe talk to your RF too to just see what they think about that.
Yeah, just on that, I'm actually holding one for my floor tonight. We're gonna like decorate the floor and like the TV lounge and that. You just have to submit a form. It's on eRes Life. It's like a student-led initiative form, and then you can request funding. I'm pretty sure each floor has $250 for the semester. So just like think about how much of that you want to use and whatever, and then you just have to send in the receipts and they'll audit it for you and you can do whatever with it if you just want to like run it by yourself.
Yeah, those are some great ideas. Just to make this like a general conversation, back in my day when I was on residence, like we did assassins on our floor. Obviously you can't do that now, but when we were doing it, I submitted a form for the student-led initiative and we got full funding for it. You can also use that ERES form to hold like a Christmas party or things like that. So those are just some great ideas all around. You guys should definitely look into that. And if you ever have any questions or concerns about like how to access that form and how to, utilize the funding, you can definitely send us a quick message on Slack on the channels and we'll be able to provide you with that information. With that being said, is there any questions or comments or concerns left?
Is it, I forgot, is it 125 per term? And then if we don't use it one term, does the 125 from the RFs go to the other term? So if we don't use the 125 from our ref for this term and we save it up for the next term, can we then use $200 or is that 125 gone from this term gone?
I believe it is only per term, but I can double check with housing to confirm that for you. I know we mentioned combining that with the floor fund, so you have more money as well. Say if you wanted to order floor sweaters and put that towards something, but I'm not 100% sure if the money carries over. I would think it would, but I will confirm that for you and get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember from my time as an RF, I think it was per semester and it didn't stack, so it wouldn't transfer over to the next semester. But things might have changed, so I would just double check with your RF. But like Jay said, we can always follow up too.
And is that the same for our money that we got, the $20, $30 for us? Is that per term or is that like for both terms?
That's for both terms.
Fall and winter.
You can use it on top of either or term. So if you wanted to put it with this semester, you could, or next semester. That's saying if the 125 is doesn't carry over, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Great question. I'm just going to continue to share my screen and we'll get through the agenda. And okay, can everyone see the document? Yeah, okay, good. For a second, you guys saw my desktop, so I was like, oof. To continue on, we're gonna move on to committee reports, which is section 7.0. We're gonna start one by one and go through the committees, and the respective leaders or representatives will give us each a report. We'll start off with the Financial Review Committee.
Yeah, Morgan, do you want to do your read off your minutes? I can for you if you'd like.
Yeah, I can. One sec. Let me just pull it up here. I have it in a Word. I just gotta get it. I'll just kind of like preface while I'm looking for it here. Essentially, what we had talked about, we really just reviewed the budget for most of it, and we went over that. So I have it here. We reviewed it. So Jaden came up with the budget and worked with the operations manager. This was I believe like the first time the budget has been presented on time in like 2 years. So really good job on that one. Also just one underlying note of the budget was that it is since RRRA is a nonprofit organization, the goal was to break even on the budget and not end with a profit or a deficit. I believe Jaden is presenting the budget later, so I will not go over all of the logistics of that. But essentially the main note was that there were a lot of reduced costs this year in certain areas due to not being able to do things in person and just less residents living. So a lot of funds were moved around. A lot was put into promotion and advertisement, since we're going to have to run a lot of things through social media as our main is our main like means of reaching the students. And then we just talked about forwards looking for the committee, maybe bringing in like an accountant or a financial advisor to guide us on like financial literacy and all of that. And we also wanted to look at advertising the floor funds to residents so that they're more aware that they exist, because I know not everyone is aware of them. And that is what we talked about on Friday.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. At each step of the committee reports, we're going to raise the floor for any questions, comments, or concerns. Okay, with that being said, I see none. So we're going to move on to section 7.3, which is the Food Services Committee. So the representative of that group would like to take the time to provide a report. Jaden, do you know which executive profile that falls under, the Food Services Committee?
Sash, who's your chair?
Drew, are you able to?
Yeah, I do have the listed report. So we did have our meeting on October 16 from 3 p.m. to 3:30. We generally have three main concerns for the food services. First is more of a survey on how to improve the CAF experience for the residents. So this includes extending the napkin talk into more for food on what they can recommend the dining services and the food services to be, any improvements. And we also talked about how to reduce the waste, because right now due to the pandemic, we do have a lot of waste. For each person, that's at least 3 different bags, 3 different containers, 3 different cutleries that we go through a day. So we were talking about getting more eco-friendly, reusable alternatives. So say bags that we could give to each person living in residence that they could reuse. Instead of using those plastic bags, we could just give Carlton like a uniform like tote bag or a uniform like cloth bag instead of using plastic. And then we were also discussing other alternatives to getting drinks, so we don't have to use that much straws, aside from like the reusable cutlery that the res desk provides. And we also talked about variety and diversity in the food. There were some concerns raised about how the food was repetitive and didn't really provide different cultures, or just a certain type of culture. And there was special importance to African food, because apparently there isn't a lot of African dishes and the varieties in the cuisine. Yeah, those are the 3 main points that we had from Friday's meeting.
Okay, thank you, Drew, for providing us with that committee report. Once again, opening up the floor to any questions, comments, or concerns from any members of this council.
So with the straw, trying to reduce on the straw, a quick idea that came to me was trying to find cups like the one we have for coffee, where we can still drink out of it, but keep the thing sealed, and just have like the sealed cups with the sealed lids with the mouth on them. Is an idea that came to me.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that's what Starbucks says right now. They don't have the straws anymore. They just have the sippy lids. Really good, yeah.
Yeah, we were actually discussing that too, Rupert. That's a pretty good point. It depends on what the CAF will say, but we actually have that idea too, and we do want to bring it up later when we discuss with the vice president of the cafeteria services. Thank you.
I just want to add something.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
The best way to get rid of plastic cups, well, we should go back to the cans, you know?
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea as well.
Yeah, I think I think the CAF changed to cans because of a waste issue with the cans, or if it was like a logistical issue on their end with like pricing and stuff. So I don't know how complicated that would be going back, but that's another point that we can also bring up. So thank you.
Another idea putting this out there was, if you guys want to use your floor funds or with the student-led initiative funds, you can go out and purchase straws from Dollar Store or anywhere for your floor. Tim Hortons has these like really cool reusable cups now that come with the straw. I thought those are really cool, and they're like $1. So that's another idea.
Yeah, thing on that, sorry.
That's okay.
One thing on that, are we allowed to bring in our own cups? Like, because they have to pour the drink for you. So are we allowed to do that?
No, you can't use reusable cups. It has to be the ones they give you. And then on the topic of cans, they're still doing cans in like Oasis and such, but they're not doing them at CAF, obviously, because of the waste issue. And then also there's more of a variety in the drink machine when you go. So if we just do cans, it's more of a limit to what you can drink. So it gives students more options.
Well, to be honest, I don't really care about options, you know? I just care about like the cans, you know what I mean? Because I don't drink it right away. I just save it at night, you know, and I just drink it at night sometimes. I mean, they were doing it before at Oasis, so why can't they do it now?
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm saying you should bring it up. That's it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll bring it up to housing. It's definitely going to be, it's a deeper issue. I can already anticipate they have some reasons, but I definitely will bring it up and see if there's anything we can do.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for providing your thoughts and opinions on this. We're going to move on to 7.4, which is the Residence Issues Committee. So a representative or the lead for that group may want to take the floor right now. The Residence Issues Committee.
Hello, I am the chair for the issues team. And so last week on Wednesday, we went over the ideas that Sash mentioned of mental health and how to improve that, consent on safe sex consent on campus, as well as improving people's health. And some takeaways that we got out of it was that self-isolation right now is very mentally taxing on people, and we're trying to figure out ways to help people with it, as well as since everything is online and we rely so much on the internet, we want to try to work towards and see if we can get better Wi-Fi in the housing, as it's very important towards our, to be honest, to be doing anything, classes, or even hanging out and helping out with this social issue, social isolation issue. And some other things that we wanted to bring up and look into was currently on our floors, we have some issues with like some floors have a lower capacity than others, and all the housing residents are unevenly spread out throughout all the buildings, and we're trying to find see if we can balance out the people on the floor. And finally, we're looking into figuring out a way to an awareness campaign to help improve mental health and safe sex in our campus. And that was everything we talked about. Any questions?
One thing I've noticed is just in residence, since there's a lot of empty rooms, a lot of those rooms have the lights turned on in them when no one's using them. I know the one next to me, I had to put a work order in so they would turn it off, but obviously like some people don't know it's on, or it's just there's no one in the suite at all. So maybe talking to housing or maintenance about that to try and get those turned off just to conserve energy.
That's a really good idea. Okay.
Just one more point. I don't know any of you guys notice this on your floors or not, but I've actually noticed that which rooms are supposed to be actually empty, there are people living in there. So I'm not getting the point of it, but maybe you could raise that issue that I don't know if it's with permission they are staying or not with permission. We don't know. So
like people who don't live on res are staying in the empty.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise we would have known, or at least our RFs would have told us that, you know, these are people living on your floor. But there are some people I've noticed that they don't live on the floor, but they still live in their rooms, actually.
Okay.
So random people have moved into the rooms.
I have actually no idea because on the movement days, I haven't seen them. So I don't know.
We can definitely bring it up. They could have moved in late, like you never know. But I know that has been an issue in res in the past, like people moving in to empty rooms without permission. So I'll bring it up for sure to Laura.
I know there's one person from my floor that was moved in like pretty late from like a different building. So
Sorry, Megan, I saw you want to say something.
Oh yeah, it's basically the same thing. Like even on my floor, I think 1 or 2 people on the different wings came in at later times, and I don't know if they were being staggered from different houses, but I've noticed that also. I think on my floor, at least, though, we were informed about new people. So even just putting out that information so it's not a shock to people would be better.
Okay, those are great questions, concerns, and comments. Thank you for that presentation. We'll be now moving on to 7.5, which is the Political Action and Sustainability Committee.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm the chair of the Political Action and Sustainability Committee. We held our first meeting on October 9th, in which I was elected as chair, and we shared our interests and goals for the committee. We've decided to zero in on sustainability, and particularly in the field of waste management, as it was revealed that not everywhere on campus has adequate recycling or compost facilities. We also discussed a possibility of a sustainability awareness campaign to promote proper waste disposal, which we think is especially important right now because the CAF is producing so much more waste, and there are compost facilities like in residence commons, but I don't know if that's available for other parts of campus. We just hope to build and expand upon those ideas in our next meeting and hope to work towards a solution.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. Once again, opening the floor to any questions, comments, or concerns by any of the counselors. Yeah, Megan?
I know it really shouldn't have to be said, like if you think about it in hindsight, but right outside of the cafeteria near the residence houses, the garbages are overflowing and the styrofoam is blowing everywhere and it ends up on the grass, I've noticed the past couple of days. So even just putting up signs so that people know, like, hey, if it's full, don't put it over the top because it's really making a mess of the grass over there.
Yeah, that we did, we talked about how some of them are overflowing, and yeah, I think it's partly an issue of people not knowing where to put their own garbages, and also apparently some floors like trash chutes are like clogged. So yeah, we definitely will focus on those kinds of things as well.
Okay, thank you for that, guys. We're gonna move on to 7.6, which is a special events and community outreach committee. Do we have someone delivering a presentation for that committee?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Go ahead.
My name is Joy Ugo. I was elected as the chair of the Special Events and Community Outreach Committee. So we started off with talking about the importance of this committee, and we realized that this committee is important because it creates an environment filled with engaging ideas, and it helps with positive mental and physical health. It builds social interaction and it improves the members' personalities themselves, because some people want to have more to do in school. It also has a positive thing to look forward to. Like it's positive thing to look forward to. Sorry. So in our brainstorming session, we talked about a few things. One being the issues with the ideas we came up with and previous ideas that have already been done so that we can work towards them. And if it's something that can be fixed, we can fix it. So we came up with a foodie tour of Ottawa. So basically that's just like showing new students like places where they can eat, rating like something fun that can also be done online. We came up with the Netflix party, and we haven't really figured out the logistics of it because we noticed that sometimes when you're doing a Netflix party, the server times out, but we're trying to fix that. So we the speed mingling that was done previously, we're trying to see if we can do that in October and also in February during the Valentine's Day period. We also recognize some faults in the speed mingling from the previous time. We said that the capacity of the mini groups, some people were getting kicked out of the group, so we're gonna increase manually. Somebody came up with the idea to manually increase the mini group numbers. We also came up with the pumpkin design contest for Halloween. So from our brainstorming, we assumed that it will be like photos, you post photos on stuff like Instagram, platforms like Instagram, you tag the raw. We also like figured that there should be a price incentive to all these things. We figured that paint should be supplied because I know some people would want to do it, but then they don't have the means to do it. We also talked about housing fair. Not everybody wants to live on housing, so it would be a good thing to just like bring in conjunction with the legal services to like help students figure out nice places to live off campus for cheap. We talked about the Bob Ross painting line. That's just similar to what we're talking about, the pumpkin painting. The drag show, we talked about some shortcomings of the last drag show. So basically some people were criticizing the show that it didn't show that much COVID measures. So we want to do more of that, but then show more implement more COVID measures and make it very clear that we are for COVID measures. We also talk about grad night. So basically it's probably going to be in January. That's the agreed time. So basically we would invite alumni and grad students to talk about how they got their jobs and stuff like that, and just like educate, our residents folks. We talked about Christmas. So basically Christmas is a public holiday. So we wanted to do something nice, like share some snacks, drinks, and all of that provided by the school, obviously. We talked about gaming. So lots of people these days are into online gaming, and we want to be inclusive of the sports because, we can't really have sports right now in person. So gaming is a good way to reach out to them. There's somebody on the committee brought about, I think there's an Instagram, a Carleton Instagram gaming something. I'm not really sure this is the right website, but then I would find out and repost it. So we talked about doing games like Fortnite or Among Us or Six Siege, and obviously price incentive will be added to this. We also talked about the timing because we really want like our events to have the perfect time. The TikTok, we also talked about the TikTok dance party. We decided that probably shouldn't be done again for the following reasons. One, it was more like imitating interpersonal relationships and reminding people that they couldn't have interpersonal relationships. So we want to do stuff that, correspond with online rather than just imitating interpersonal relationships. And that's basically it. This meeting was held on the 9th of October. It started by 6:30. It started by 5 p.m. and ended by 6:13. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Troy. Just to open up the floor to any questions, comments, or concerns.
For the esports thing, the whole Fortnite and everything, have you considered talking to the esports club and seeing if you can work with them?
Yeah, that's actually the name I wrote down. I just didn't know if that was it. I thought that was a mistake on my part, but
yeah, this was just an idea, but we were for all of these ideas, we're seeing who we would be able to collaborate with, and that being the one for gaming.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. We're going to continue on.
Dominic has his hand raised.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
So, yeah, in terms of game recommended, like Fortnite and Six Siege are like mostly need skills and all of that. But like other games that might require a ton of people to play around with is of course Among Us, which only allows like 10. But you should also include Fall Guys, which allows a big number of party to be able to play with. And there are much more interesting games which doesn't require skills and like performance like FPS wise and all of that. Because Fortnite and Six Siege do require somehow skills and mental fortitude to be able to, and some people will not like to play that game because it's quite competitive.
Sorry, if you could just type it down in the chat, that would be nice. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
I have a suggestion for games. Counter-Strike is good. You can play online, you know, so you don't have to, you don't have to be like around people, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone has any ideas, either write it down in the chat or you can just send it to my email. And I'll definitely be taking those into consideration and also bringing it for the committee. Also, you can email Joy too, if that's okay, Joy. I don't.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, if maybe you want to write your email and I'll write mine in
Yeah,
the
I'll
chat.
do that.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely taking into consideration all of your ideas. Also, we were kind of thinking maybe we could do like one that's more of a competitive gaming and one where it's more like for everyone. So.
Megan, I see your hand up as well. If you want to.
Yeah, just building onto this because last year I was in the TESPA's video game club, but their Instagram, I just wrote it in the Zoom calls chat, but it has a Discord link for any of the gamers who are on campus who actually want to chat with other ones. So you can see who's playing what at what time, and you can link up with other people who have similar interests for the video games, especially on Steam platform. So if everyone just wanted to use that, it's one of the easier ones because it's already a community formed specifically for Carleton.
Okay, some great ideas I see going on in the chat function. Please go ahead if you want to discuss that in further detail in the chat function. We'll now just continue on to the last committee presentation, which is 7.7, the COVID-19 committee. So if the lead of that group wants to take over and provide its report.
Okay, awesome. So I'm Morgan. I'm the chair of our COVID-19 committee. 2 Fridays ago, we held our first ever meeting, and our main talking point was really the COVID-19 awareness campaign. We're calling it Mask Up or Pack Up. We discussed this in our pre-meeting before, but I'll just reiterate some of the main points that we had. So this is going to be a virtual social media campaign discussing the guidelines, rules, and information regarding COVID-19. Essentially, one of the things we wanted was for all of our council members to make short videos just saying why they feel it's important to wear a mask and socially distance, things like that, just to reiterate our point. We talked about the COVID-19 alert app giveaway, and we had talked about before in the pre-meeting about how to do that giveaway, and we were going to give away Uber Eats gift cards as just like a little, like it was like a random selection. And then we also wanted to do a collab with dining services and talk about how the CAF is running with the new limitations on it because of COVID. We also talked about trying to make just generally more interactive, so using platforms like TikTok, IG Reels, things like that. We also wanted to bring in COVID-19 experiences as a part of it. So this is all going to be online, posted through RRRA's social media. And we wanted to bring in people just to say their experience with either self-isolation or COVID-19 and reach out to people for that, just to reiterate the point of what it's truly like and bring it to the forefront for people. We also wanted to do an info session, maybe a live with Ottawa Public Health, to bring in just some of the facts about socially distancing and why we feel all of this is very important. And we also wanted to do one with Carleton admin, so as to what they're doing for us during this time, because we know it gets a little foggy as to what they're actually doing to support us, and sometimes we feel they're not doing enough. We also wanted to do one thing as to how we as council members are staying socially active during COVID-19, because it's very hard to keep social, and that's a lot of one of people's like main, I guess, not justifications, but why they're breaking rules is just because they want to stay social and have fun. But we need to reiterate the point that we can do that still and be safe. That's essentially what we brought up for the campaign, and I posted the Google Forms on the Slack group for any ideas for the campaign. And then we just talked generally about having more virtual programming about COVID-19, and then doing monthly posts for it. We also said that we're running the Mask Up or Pack Up campaign in the beginning of November is the goal, and we're going to do a second one at the beginning of the winter term just for new residents to reiterate the point of that. And we also wanted to clarify rules as to where we can wear a mask on campus. So if anyone has any questions about anything, the floor is yours.
So about the mask up or pack up campaign, like if we're walking outside, do we still have to wear it?
So no, like legally you do not have to wear a mask if you're just walking outside. It's only indoor spaces. However, we would recommend that if you're with people and you can't socially distance, that you would wear a mask to
That's
stay.
common sense, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, like I haven't seen anybody inside the building with no mask on, you know? So I don't think it's that much of an issue.
One thing we did point out in the meeting was that in the res commons, a lot of people were taking their masks off before. It's gotten a bit better, but we wanted to reiterate just where you have to wear a mask and that you do in that area. I find a lot of people when they're just sitting there don't really feel like they have to, but there have been some issues, but it hasn't been too bad. We just want to make sure the point gets across.
I just want to say, maybe for the like a serious pack up, you're gonna evict some residents, right? We should make something like an appeals court or something like that, you know, so you can appeal the decision. Because a fairly big, with the consequences, fairly big decision, you know.
I think there actually is already an appeal section on eRes Life. Like, say if you were to get evicted from residence, it's also like a huge process. You don't just get kicked out, so you have to go through a whole interview and everything. Like, it's a lot. So you would be able to appeal the decision for sure.
All right, thank you.
Also for the campaign, Kathleen and Matt, if like you want to collaborate in any way on that, I think it'd be great to bring CUSA and Cassie in. So once we have it finalized, I can definitely send you an email and we can figure something out.
Okay, keeping with time, we're just going to keep moving on. Sorry, the next point of business is section 8.0, which is the CUSA report. So I'll hand over the floor to the CUSA representative.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kathleen, CUSA president. I was actually just thinking of that, Jay, that it would be cool to collaborate. So definitely reach out, or Morgan, if you want to reach out to me, we can definitely support. So I'll try to make it quick. So many things always happening at CUSA. So for those of you who are wondering, CUSA is the Carleton University Students Association, similar to RRRA, but not solely for resident students, for all undergrad students. So we're running some campaigns right now. Our October campaign is called Pop the Stigma. It's mental health focused. So just some really cool events that I want to flag. On Tuesday, we are doing a mental health and hormones event, and it will be with the Women's Center. On Wednesday, we're doing a Kuru self-defense class, and on Thursday, we'll be doing a men's mental health panel. Another campaign we're running right now is called the Divestment Campaign. So we're calling on the university to sell its investments in fossil fuel companies. So we just launched that this week. If you want to know more, check out our Instagram at CUSA Online, and please sign the petition and share with your friends. I'll put the petition in the chat in just a second. And then in terms of COVID-19 support, that's kind of where our main attention is right now. So this past week, we also launched the hardship fund, or I guess 2 weeks ago, but we've sent out our first disbursements to recipients. So if you are experiencing financial need, you can find out more about the hardship fund or encourage people that you know who might need the extra support to apply. You can find out on our website at CUSA Online or our Instagram at CUSA Online. We also have launched a general support line or email. So if you're looking to access any support from the university or from CUSA, but you're not sure like how to find it, whether that's mental health, food, finances, we have started a new email called support@cusaonline.ca. So I'll put that in the chat also in a second. In terms of programming, we have launched a COVID-19 support group, and every Friday we'll be doing events that are focused on surviving and well-being during COVID-19. So check that out. In terms of general programming, tomorrow on Monday, so I'll be doing an Instagram live at 3 p.m. with the CUSA Wellness Center on environmental wellness. So if that's a topic that interests you, please check it out. And on Thursday, we'll also be doing yoga on Instagram Live. So I'll be there. I hope to see some of you there. This past month, we also held our Brunch with Execs, which was kind of like a town hall, but with food. So just got to hear from a lot of students. I know some of you were there, so thank you for showing up. And it was really fun because I definitely miss being able to informally interact with students on campus because it is a virtual semester. Important announcement is that CUSA is hiring almost as always. So if you are looking for a job, you can find out more on our Instagram website. 2 postings that I'll flag that are super cool. We are looking for a communication and content assistant. So this is someone who has social media skills, but also graphic design skills. So if you do have graphic design skills or you know someone who does, please consider applying. Working in CUSA communications is super fun. We have like tons of different social media platforms that we use. So that is a great opportunity. We're also looking for a coordinator for the Mwandaseg Center, which is the center that supports and does advocacy around Indigenous students on campus. So if you know someone who is Indigenous, please encourage them to apply. And then my final announcement is that on Friday, we posted a solidarity statement with our students who are in or from Africa or in the African diaspora, acknowledging the political uprisings that are occurring in numerous African countries as we speak. So if you want to find out more resources on how you can support, you can view our statement and find out more in our link tree in our bio on our Instagram. So that's it on the CUSA end. I'll put a few things in the chat, but as always, like you can find me on Instagram, Kathleen Weary. You can email me at prez@cusaonline.ca. And yeah, always happy to chat. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. We're now going to open up the floor to any questions or concerns from any of the counselors towards the CUSA representative. Okay, with that being said, we're going to move on to section 9.0, which is the CASG report.
Hey everyone. So for those of you that weren't here last time, I'm Matt Gagne, your CASG president. So we have our first council tomorrow, Tuesday at 6:30. So we're excited for that. We're going to get our budget passed, get to meet all our new department reps. It's going to be great. In terms of permanent grade reform, which I talked about last council, I'm still meeting with academic societies, a couple times a week, different ones, whoever, as they're answering me. It's going well, but it's kind of been put on the back burner as we've been actually moving on to short-term grade reform for COVID-19. So where that is right now is the next Senate meeting is actually October 30th. CASG has been working with the university on 3 separate motions that are going to be brought up to be voted on. So the first one is that all fails this year are going to be converted to unsatisfactory, so they will not impact your GPA. The second we're going to be delaying all punitive academic performance evaluations for another year, just like they did back in April as well. So if you would be told to change your concentration or drop your major or whatnot, anything like that, after they evaluate your GPA this year, that decision will be delayed a year. And then the third one is what myself and other student groups such as CUSA and RA signed on. We're fully supporting a 0.5 satisfactory credit. So what that will allow is that all undergraduate students will be able to choose one course this semester to convert to a satisfactory grade. So if you were, stuck, you had to take the extra shift at work, or your Wi-Fi crashed during a midterm, anything like that, and you have that D+ that was due to COVID, we're hoping that this is going to pass, and you'll get that option to make it satisfactory, so that doesn't impact your GPA. And then, yeah, so that's basically it for us for now. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me in my email or slide my DMs at Matt Gagne 99 on Instagram or Matthew Gagne on Facebook. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. We're going to open up the floor to any questions, comments, or concerns.
For Matt, so is the first plan and the third plan the same thing? Like, what's the difference between the first motion, the third motion?
So are you talking about the unsat, like the first and the third motion, or the permanent grade reform versus the temporary?
The first motion about the unsatisfactory versus the third motion about the 0.5 unsatisfactory.
For sure. So after meeting, Tuesday morning, I'm meeting with the Senate Committee on Academic Policy. I'm trying to get them to sponsor the 0.5 satisfactory credit, so we have even more backing, not only from student groups but also from university faculty. We're looking good on that, but the reason why we broke it down into 3 different motions is that if one of them fails, not all of them fail, because it looks like the unsatisfactory motion is going to pass. It's already been sponsored by the Vice President Academic of the university. The Senate wants to do that. The delay on all punitive academic performance evaluations, that's already been approved by the Senate Committee for Academic Policy, so we want that to pass as well. It's just the 0.5 satisfactory credit that we're still working with the university to get approval for in terms of getting the votes on the Senate. So I didn't want to risk the other 2 by putting them all together. This way, by breaking it up, at least we know we have 2 out of 3, and we're pushing for the third.
And so for this third one, basically, from what I'm saying, the first one is if you fail the class, under the, if you basically get an F, under 50%, it's automatically unsatisfactory. But then if you had a mark that was pretty bad, but you still passed the class, you can change one of those to the unsatisfactory.
No, so what it is that if you have under 50% in the course and it's an F, the university will automatically convert it to an unsatisfactory. If you get a 52% in the class, and that'd be a D-, then that's still going to count under GPA as of right now. What we're pushing for is that at least one course this semester, you'll be able to change to satisfactory rather than having that D-. Question?
So from my understanding, you have to get a C- in the class for you to pass it, or is that to gain the?
I believe it's for graduate studies that it passes a C+ or above, but to get a credit for undergrads, it's D- or above, so 50% or above.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had one question just about that, half credit satisfactory conversion. If that happens, would you have to justify your reason for it, or would you just be able to put up any grade as that?
It would be like, if you're in first year, you didn't go through this, but last semester we did it for all courses. You could, if you wanted to put all your courses as satisfactory, you could, and it was just based on an application process in Carleton Central. And there was no reasoning behind it. You just had to plug in the course code that you wanted to be turned into satisfactory, and they just do it for you.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question.
I actually have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's a little bit off from your 3 motions, but then I actually read or actually heard your interview, I think it was today morning or yesterday with the news channel, and you had the topic of the thing was about privacy, student privacy. So is it possible that they're going to address that as well when you're doing the Senate meeting?
Yeah, so what's nice is that on Tuesday we have the student government luncheon where myself, CUSA, RA, we all get to sit down with the student admin and have some conversations, and I'm guaranteeing that that'll be the topic of choice after we've all given our updates. So I didn't want to get into it too much tonight until I got more of what the university was saying on their end, because I haven't had the chance to have much of a dialogue with them yet.
Okay.
Just
for the time constraint, we're gonna move on with the next meeting agenda. Thank you to all those who had those questions and comments and concerns. Thank you to Matt also for answering those as well. I'm just gonna continue to share my screen, and we're gonna move on to the latter portion of this evening, which is motion 10.0, which is the motion to introduce and present the RAW budget. So the motion presentation states, whereas RAW Council and its executives have the responsibility to be the sole body with the power to ratify the budget, whereas the president must deliver an annual budget to showcase the organization's expenditures for the overall academic year. President Jaden Slaughter will now deliver a presentation about the budget. So I'm going to pass the floor on to Jaden, who will now deliver a presentation.
Awesome. Okay, can everyone see the budget? Okay, awesome. I'll try to do this quick. Maybe we can finish by 9. We'll see, maybe not. But yeah, so I worked really hard on this. Jordan, our media manager, actually helped me out with the graphics. I really wanted to make sure it was presented nicely rather than just like an Excel spreadsheet that's confusing to read. So hopefully everyone understands it more, but I'll just dive into it. So I'll start off by reading my message at the beginning. So I present to you the 2020-2021 Rideau River Residence Association operating budget. Within these numbers are the association's initiatives and financial obligations for the current academic year. The focus of the budget this year is responsibility, transparency, and efficiency. Throughout my term as president thus far, there have been many obstacles that my team and I have had to overcome, as this is an alternative year due to COVID-19. I worked through these obstacles alongside my team and the association's operation manager, Colleen Armstrong, to ensure there was no delay in the presentation of the operating budget. My goal as president and chief executive officer of the association was to ensure that the budget was presented to the community in a timely manner. Our executives each have made campaign promises that will need funding from the operating budget to be completed. Going into this term, we were expecting some in-person interaction with students through programming, workshops, and much more. However, due to residents' COVID-19 regulations, we cannot proceed forward with these plans. We had to look into what goals we could realistically accomplish this year and what will have to be pushed into the future. The annual residence formal has been officially cut from programming this year, as there's no alternative way to proceed with hosting the event due to COVID-19. This is a very different year for the association, and it is unfortunate that we cannot give students the residence experience that they may have hoped to have. Due to lower programming costs and other financial decreases, such as reduction in office staff, we have broken even, meaning there's neither a profit nor a loss within the association this year. As we are a not-for-profit organization, this is the position we should be in financially, so that's really good. As we look towards the future, there is an opportunity for growth, and I have high hopes for the future executive that will be elected into office next term. We will ensure to take all necessary steps in order to create a long-term vision for the association to continue to operate during these unprecedented times successfully. Sincerely, your RAW president. Okay, now I'm just going to jump into the actual budget. So the budget starts off with Abstentions. This is our convenience store located in Residence Commons. On the top line, you can see our expected revenue. This year, there has been a major decrease in demand for many store items, and that is due to a lower residence capacity due to COVID-19. Due to this, we shortened the hours of the store and now operates 12 to 12 opposed to its previous hours of 10 to 3. So obviously less shifts, less of a cost. The only number that remains the same for the store this year is the rent cost. As you can see, wages and salaries have been lower due to lower staff and less shifts due to the new hours. There are also many items you can see that have no longer specifically ordered as in the past years, such as 2017, 2018 for the association when they were able to sell cigarettes, for example. So these items still remain on the budget for comparison to previous years in case someone wants to go back and look at older numbers. That's why they're there, but we don't sell those items anymore. At the bottom, you can see our total expense and total revenue for both the summer and academic term. And I'll just save all questions and comments for the ending, just so we can get through it all. So moving to administration and office fees. So here's the revenue section. So you can see this is the revenue and the expected revenue, which is the fees coming in from student fees this year. So obviously there's a lower residence capacity, which is why we have lower fees coming in. And then this is the budget, so the expenses. So this section is probably the more confusing section of the budget. When presenting this to the Financial Review Committee, there were a few questions on some specific expenses that may not be listed or as detailed, understood as easily. So I'll try to explain them as well as I can. Beginning with advertising, receiving less fees this year, we had to really spread our funds out. We budgeted $3,000 for advertising opposed to putting the money elsewhere, as we knew this year is operating completely virtual. So advertising for the association is a huge key in having successful events and getting our brand message out to students. This expense will go towards things like Facebook and Instagram advertisements. The Residence Issues Committee mentioned putting out QR codes around residents, and overall just promotional services for the association. Even the COVID-19 committee talked about doing the posters in the CAF, like just around campus, so that kind of thing as well. Going down to election costs, this past year the election was held in June online, and there were no costs aside from the payment of our CEO and the university for running the voting system. So those fees fall under salaries and benefits. This upcoming year, we budgeted $600 for the upcoming election in March. If deemed necessary, we hope to host our debate in person, socially distanced, of course, and following all COVID-19 regulations. But the $600 cost would go towards the renting of sound equipment, such as mics, as well as speakers and live audio reception equipment. Our hope is for the debate to be streamed online, but held in person with no audience, just candidates. I had to explain this to the Financial Review Committee as they were unfamiliar with the raw election process, but essentially we have our executive election in early March, and during the campaign period, there is a debate between all candidates. Election discussion is something we will probably talk about during our November meeting, if not December. Moving down to office expenses, we took money out of office expenses as the office is not a major use this year due to COVID-19. Some of this money went into office supplies. As you can see, the price changed from $1,080 to $2.5K. This year, we have been doing our best to stay on top of our game when it comes to online features. So the reason there is a price upgrade there, for example, this summer, I believe we filmed over 5 videos just for fall orientation, as well as needed much equipment for events throughout Frosh Week. So the office supplies this year, rather than being spent on pens and erasers and such, is now being spent on video recording equipment, such as tripods, lighting, cameras to better our social media presence. We're hoping to have some new equipment prior to the launch of our COVID-19 campaign so we can get some awesome videos filmed for the residents community. Moving down to professional fees, during the Financial Review Committee presentation, I realized this may not be as clear as to what these fees are. So professional fees include legal and accounting fees. An example of this would be payment to our lawyers, accountants, auditors, and so on. With COVID-19, we wanted to be extra cautious this year with these fees in case something similar to last year happened, like residents shutting down early and us losing funds or business, such as a store. This is why there's an increase there. So we have more of a safety net this year, which is much needed with COVID-19. I already touched on salaries and benefits, but just to reiterate, this includes the executive, election, CEO, DEO, RAW Foundation Awards, our office staff. There is clearly a decrease here, and that is due to us not having an office staff, as the office is operating virtually this term. The only office staff we have in place is our media manager, who does our graphics, scheduled posts, stories, and all that fun stuff. He's actually recording this meeting right now, and he'll upload it to YouTube later. Programming. So here's our revenue from last year, which came all from Residence Formal ticket sales. As I mentioned, unfortunately, Residence Formal will not be taking place this year, which is super sad. It was one of my favorite events that I got to plan last year, but hopefully maybe next year for the resident students. Super sad. Moving down to expenses. We have volunteer appreciation, which is something we did not do last year, but we felt it was important this year, especially to bring more of a sense of community. An example of one thing we have planned so far, which was kind of a surprise, but I'm honestly bad at surprises, so I'm just gonna say this. We're ordering raw council masks, so like COVID-19 masks for all counselors. Super excited, and this is something that will be discussed more in our council chat. We can talk about the design and like what we want and kind of make it our own. But moving down the line, we have the floor fund, which we discussed in our council chat. This is the distribution of money to each of you to put towards initiatives for your floors. As mentioned, you can combine the funds with your $125 per semester from Housing and Residence Life, equaling out to a total of $280 for the year. There are a few programming activities listed that we won't be able to proceed with, such as tunnel murals, the boat cruise, all due to COVID-19, unfortunately. So that's why those are still on there, as I mentioned, for comparison. Advertising all programming is also going to be a major cost, and this will include, as I mentioned above, promotional ads on social media as well as around campus. However, this sum of money is specifically for the Vice President Programming's advertising for her events, so for Jenna. Next, we have Frosh Week, which I am going to connect with other programming just to give you all an easier understanding on the decrease in numbers. So as you can see, last year, fall orientation cost us $3,750. The sum of money is from the stem of one event that the association hosted, and that event was bubble soccer. So this year we hosted a total of 4 events for fall orientation, all coming to a sum of $405. So as you can see, there's a lot less of a cost for online events, where last year we spent over $3,000 for one event that was in person. This year we spent only $405 for 4 events. So that is why there is a budget of $5,000 now for programming, as all of our events this year will continue to operate virtually, bringing us less of a cost. The cost we would need would be like lighting equipment, video essentials, which all go back up to office supplies. So currently other programming would include all our events, giveaways, and for say campaigns such as our upcoming COVID-19 campaign or the mental health campaign, the pumpkin painting, those kind of things. Moving on to the final page. So this is the overall summary of the operating budget for the association. Up top, we have the revenue, and then below we have expenses. This is a much easier way to read it all at once. The Financial Review Committee mentioned this page was very helpful. So if you had trouble following along, this may be a better way to look at it. To sum up the presentation, as you can see this year, we made nor a profit or a loss, which is great, as that is the financial state that we should be in. As you can see, last year there was a major loss, and I believe that is due to the president's tardy presentation of the budget. To speak on last year's budget, I also wanted to point out that many of the numbers were incorrect on last year's budget. After reviewing it with our operations manager, she mentioned that the past president inserted incorrect numbers and did also not consult with her before presenting the budget. So I just wanted to explain that in case any of you wanted to go back and look at past budget and the numbers aren't the same and you're confused. So I just thought I'd explain that to you all. I just also wanted to reiterate that we do have to spend all of this money, as we are a not-for-profit, as Morgan mentioned when she did the financial review chair report. So that is why the money is so spread out, as we did our best to ensure it was all put to use. Finally, I am also working with our operations manager on creating a COVID-19 protection budget. So this is so if, for example, something happens like last year where residents shuts down early and the association loses funds. Last year when residents shut down in March, our store Abstentions was just fully stocked, and there were a bunch of pending orders coming in. It was a huge mess, and none of them were able to be canceled. So with all those items expiring over the summer as students moved home and residents wasn't operating, the association lost a lot of money. So we want to ensure that we're prepared in case a similar situation happens, say if residents' COVID cases begin to rise or we shut down again. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. After approval, I will be uploading the budget to the website if you wish to continue to review it. And thank you for being patient. I'm sorry this was such a long meeting, but I'm also happy that all of you are engaged and actually speaking up. We covered a lot of ground, and it's really great to see council doing a lot better than it has opposed to last year during my term. So great job, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jaden, for that presentation, and shout out to the media manager for that effective use of graphic display. Made the budget presentation more fun to watch. I'm just gonna open up the floor for anyone that has any questions or concerns or comments that would like to be addressed. Section 10.2 is the debate for the budget. So this is just that moment where if anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, we can open up the floor and discuss that. Okay, with that being said and the silence being delivered, we're gonna motion to vote on this. So the information transfer presents that be it resolved that RRRA Council vote on ratifying the budget presented for the 2020-2021 academic year. So all voting members can now vote using the thumbs up emoji icon. As this is a major vote, we need all voting members to make sure to vote, and once those are calculated, we can pass the budget. Okay, with that being said, I think everyone has voted in favor, so this motion passes and the budget has passed. So round of applause towards council for passing the budget. Okay. This is also the last commitment on our agenda today. So motion 12.0 is adjournment. Motion to adjourn today's meeting. Yeah, if you guys want to vote on that, thumbs up. I don't think anyone has anything against that. Okay, so once again, guys, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for being such an interactive council. We definitely appreciate that. If you have any questions or concerns or comments or anything on any topics that we discussed today, you can definitely reach out to us on Slack. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good reading week.
And the team wants to
Good night.